Hey everybody, it's tafony here once again. Hope you're doing well. Today I am rambling about the Shakmat Banshee Reach. It is a through zero, very shaped VCO, and it sounds like this. Okay, one of the many oscillators based on the SSI 2130 chip. It is the Banshee Reach. Bring it in here. So I really missed my operat. The operat was hard to come by. I did some trading for those drum machines that you saw in recent videos that kind of led my rig into a place where I'm like, oh yeah, I really need a, especially octave switching VCO, analog one preferably, and that led me to the Banshee Reach. I've always eyed it and never went for it. Specifically what draws me to this one is I've talked a lot about very shape and shape modulation. I don't know if it's just I really want wavetables and I'm trying to make wavetables out of analog VCOs, but that's where my head's at. Someone I work with closely was showing me some of the very shape options on the Moog Sub25, and I was just like, oh man, I really want that in Eurorack. So we have it here. We have sine, morphing into triangle, morphing into saw, big amplitude jump, and then finally morphing into square. Basic oscillator stuff. I'm going to go back to the triangle wave just to get a little less harmonics while I yap above it. We have a coarse knob at the bottom. We have a fine tune. And if you lock it using this octaver button, we'll pretend I tuned it to 440 or wherever you want to land. You can just jump through octaves this way. I wish there was CV control over this. It'd be fun to actually write some bass lines where you're jumping. Obviously, you can do that within your sequencer, but anyway, this is a nice option if you want to kind of on the fly, or even better when you're in LFO mode, just do jumps in basically the same pitch across different octaves, but we'll turn that off for now. So you see we're on the variable output right now. We'll talk about the other ones, but there's also a sub that is normaled in here. If we bring this up where the LED is off, it's 1 octave down. Press it again, it's 2. And then press it again so it's blinking, it will put it into PWM of 25. That's how that sounds there. Let's just listen to only the sub out. I'll bring it back up, mix it all the way in, or only listen to sub. So that's 2 octaves down, 25 pulse width. So that's nice. You get a little bit of pulse width options just with the switch of a button, but I'm gonna usually want to keep it at 1 octave just to kind of fatten it up a little bit. We'll detune this whole thing a little bit down lower. And then there is lots of options. The very, very first thing I want to be trying to do with this thing, and there's no filter right now, so it might be a little harsh, but I want to send modulation into my shape input, because kind of the whole reason I picked this one up, if I'm being transparent, I really, really love very shaped sound. So we're going to start with the potentiometer all the way to sine, send it a LFO, unsynced, just going straight in there. There's an attenuator on there, thank you kindly. Bring in that, so you hear our LFO adjusting the shape. Maybe I'll speed up my LFO a little bit so you can just hear it. It's a sine wave. Maybe we'll go over to the triangle on the LFO side. And I just love this. Yes. Get into audio rate. If we start at different wave shapes, go back to LFO. Yes. Sorry, I just love that. Absolutely love it. Send it some different LFOs. Here's one from the multi-mod. A little slower. If we start in a different shape at the beginning, we'll scan sort of up there. I love this stuff. Let's pitch down an octave so you can hear that. Go sub all the way out, because I don't think we're very shaping anything on the sub output. Yeah, so bring the sub all the way out so you can hear it a little more. See, it's maxing out into that final square at the end, but if we go down in here, slow it down a little bit. And we'll just start a little above sine, so there's a little more dog. Anyway, very shaped stuff. Maybe not to everyone's taste, but I really love it. There's a nice waveform going on right there, right in between, or right past the triangle. Bring in some sub on top and really get it to warble. There's a lot to chew on here. If we go down another octave with our sub, maybe a little too low. Ooh. Just when I think analog VCOs that aren't complex oscillators, at least, I don't really think about getting something like directly out of it that's this complex, and I love it for that. Pitch it down a little bit. And then we'll get into doing some other modulation. Let's just throw some stuff at it. FM, through 0 FM, like it says on the tin. So I'll take the sub out. We'll get into the saw. And there's no attenuator on board for the FM, but through 0 FM. Percussive stuff, you know the drill, but I will throw some audio rate stuff at it, which is more where I want to land. Let's go into audio territory. Allows you to get crazier with it without getting crazy tuning issues. So that is a triangle wave from the 3 body going into the FM. And I don't believe the sub will FM. Oh no, it will. Of course it does. Wouldn't make any sense if it didn't. But if we mix in a little sub here, I think we'll need to pitch this up a little bit, or we'll go less octave. I love how, like, my fear with using analog VCOs generally is like, does it sound a little anemic? But like, there's no shortage there. Let's try phase mod instead. So you get an attenuator here. It sounds even crazier. I'll take the sub out just for a moment. Adjusting the pitch of the modulator, pretending it's complex os. Attenuating it on board here. Ooh, when you hit those harmonics, right? I know I'm not sending a melody or anything. It's kind of where you would really want to, or where you really see the benefits of using through 0 instead of not, but mixing that sub too. Just, this is stuff that I picture as being like limited to digital, right? But all that being said, it's very easy to just go into basic waveforms, right? It's all in here too. Saw. It has some other cool tricks up its sleeve. You can modulate the sub in, modulating the amount of the sub os, basically like twisting this knob. Use some other VCOs. Maybe we'll send a triangle to the shape. So you can really just get crazy timbres. If we crank that up to audio rate, or just shy of it, yes. 1,000 times yes. You can also modulate the PWM, obviously. Let's go into the pulse output. And then there's a jumper on the back that can switch between pulse and square, but I would personally stay in pulse. So if we modulate the PWM here, the only thing you gotta keep in mind, which is very common on most PWM circuits, is there's no limit, so you can basically put its width down to 0 where it's gonna clip out here. But hey, we left PWM. If you're mixing things in on top of it, like the variable output, then yeah. The only thing I wish that you could do is listen to this at the variable output, because you need to get over to this pulse output here to hear it. So that's cool, but you know, requires another step of mixing, which is fine, but keep that in mind. So, you know, analog VCO, how much can be said about it? Well, it does all of the things that I mentioned, but it also has an LFO mode, and it might be challenging to demo this, but you can get variable shape control over your LFOs, which the more time I spend with Eurorack, the more I'm like, you know what, actually, like, complex VCOs is a cool modulation source, right? So for that reason, maybe let's change our timing here. Just look at that. That is a crazy envelope, right? Now you can almost hear some popping where it just jumps up to the top of the shape, but if I modulated the shape input here as well, we can get some crazy modulation outputs. Not sending this to anything because I'm hooked up for audio on this one, but maybe we'll listen to the output of somewhere else, right? Listen to just a triangle from the 3-body. So we take this crazy modulation source we've created on the Banshee Reach, and we're going to use that to FM the 3-body now. So you're not listening to the Banshee Reach, you're listening to the 3-body. Let's get that in there. I just want to demonstrate that, like, there are really cool LFO options, crazy modulation options. I don't think the sub will do anything here. I don't think. Oh, no, it is. It totally is. Okay, well, if you want some really unique modulation options, I mean, they are on board there. I bet you could PWM this too and everything. It's no different from the other mode. It's just where the pitch is, right? It's just very slow. If we switch over to audio rate again, I will listen to that output again. Speed this one up. Yeah. We also have this crazy noise mode, which I'll turn down the volume to protect your ears. But if we hold down the discorder button, you get this crazy noise oscillator, which I understand is basically just like modulating the crap out of all the analog parameters. And it does have shape. It's not a filter. It's something. Sub-control basically looks to me to control how square some of it is. And then a tuning, which actually does tune, right? So there must be some sort of LFSR sort of thing going on behind the scenes here, where all the manual said was chaotic modulations over the analog circuit. It does sound really good. Discorder. Anyway, probably the most fully featured VCO I've ever tried, especially given its size. I really think it's sweet, and the best way to demonstrate it is to do some jams. So hey, I'm Tafony, thanks so much for watching. Take care. Banshee Reach, like, comment, subscribe, do all that crap. The YouTube's always on my case, but not promoting to you. I'll see you in the next video.